is a little bit different. The work is easy, but again, is it the right work? Kanban kind of helps us eliminate some of the wasteful activities. We can see what's important versus what's not important and make us more efficient. But if we're going in the wrong direction, it doesn't matter how efficiently we're running, right? Effectiveness is really the goal because it's helping us get the right work done at the right time. We know what we should be working on. We know we can get it done. We know how to get it done. It makes our options more obvious, Kanban does, and you can quickly get the information to make better decisions, which is really what's important. For example, when you find out that the white marbles are worth 4 points, you can really make a better decision quickly with organizing the Kanban board. Effectiveness is so important because it can help us really, when we get it right, we can feel good not only about what we're getting done, but also about what we're not getting done. And that's one of those things when you look at a Kanban board. I don't know how many people again have done this, but it was amazing when I looked at my personal Kanban board after 6 weeks, what sticky notes were still in the to-do list, or the waiting to be done list, that I started with week 1. I looked at them and I was like, oh yeah, those really weren't the important ones. And it felt good to say, I'm glad I didn't do that stupid thing. Painting the living room, which I should say. So I think it's really important, if you focus on effectiveness, and Kanban helps you do this by prioritizing your work, making it visible, helping you make decisions, you wind up being more effective at doing the right thing at the right time. So, breaking down tasks can reveal the effort that's required for seemingly simple tasks. Completed work leads to continuous improvement. And so, one of the things that we can do is we can actually look at our completed work column and look at where we're getting this stuff done if we need to get done. We can make adjustments based on completed work. It's like a little retrospective right there in the completed column. But you have to look at it and reflect on it. So one of the things we learned in our Kanban course was that even in personal Kanban, you have to have little retrospectives. You have to reflect on whether you're doing the right work. Because if you look at your completed work and you look at your work to be done, and you find out, I completed a bunch of stuff that's unimportant, and all this important stuff is still in here in the to be done column, and you better make an adjustment at that point. But you're only going to know that if you look and reflect on it. You can also review your completed work for patterns that can reduce risks. How much effort do tasks require, so that when you do them the next time, you know how much they're going on, how long it'll take. Are the completed tasks adding down? You can't quite see this. So, who's confused about push systems versus pull systems? Has anybody ever heard that you're supposed to pull work into an iteration? What does that mean? Because, the person in front of you is pushing their work on you anyway, aren't they? What's the difference, really? Whether you pull it or push it, there's still all this work stacked up in the front, isn't there?
If you're pulling, you're choosing what you're doing versus you telling you what to do.
It's kind of a mindset thing, right? Yeah. I struggled with this during the course a little bit, and by the end, I kind of got it. I got it. It's a mindset thing. The biggest deal is, if you want to focus on your whip, you can't have somebody dumping new tasks on you, distracting you all the time. Now, think about it from the other perspective. What if you're super efficient? You're being effective, you're getting things done. You can set those things off to the side before they move on down the value chain, and you can forget them. They're not your problem anymore. You're done with them. They're not occupying that space in your brain, that nervous energy that you get. I got all stuff to do, and I haven't done yet. You're done. And it's up to the next person to grab that piece and pull whatever's important through. So it's just really kind of a mindset thing, push versus pull. When you think about it, when somebody comes over and drops a stack of papers on your desk, what are they doing? They're saying, here, I need your attention, focus on this pile of stuff. If you get up, if they just set it aside of their desk, they're done thinking about it. You get up, you walk over, and you pick off the papers you need. That'd be a lot better, wouldn't it? So let's talk about some lessons that we learned. One of the ones, what worked, what didn't work, and how do we adapt. Portable Kanban was one of the interesting ones. Most of the people, you saw my boards, Most of the people found carrying those boards around with them from meeting to meeting very difficult. So there's a couple of options you can use. The book suggests, for example, that you could just have like a legal-sized piece of paper that you fold up. You could use small sticky notes and do it that way. You can carry it with you. Most people went to an electronic Kanban board. But again, I encourage you to start, with a physical board, because it was amazing to me. So let me, if I go back here, I don't know if you guys can see the board on the left here. I can't really see it. It's terrible. There's like 30 sticky notes on the left side of my beginning Kanban board. When I did that board and I wrote those things out, it was like a catharsis for me, because I was like, wow, this was just stuff I was doing at home. This was not like work. This was just projects that me or my wife had given me, and I was going to work on. And when I wrote them all out, it was so like, oh, no wonder I feel so overwhelmed all the time when I'm sitting at home. And there are things on this list like do your laundry. I have a stack of laundry at home that's constantly this high, and I just never get to it because I pick one load off. I never get to the stack. That was just all on that list, and so I showed it to my wife, and she shrugged, whatever. But it did. I mean, it helped a little bit. I mean, it was just a little bit. Said, look, I really am. This is why I'm not getting all the projects that you want me to do done. So, portable Kanban. Ain't nobody got time for that. This was really one of the biggest problems, is that people in the class just wouldn't make time to organize. Kanban will not work unless you have the discipline to organize. That's too bad, right? Because it's a magic tool that's just going to fix everything for you. You have to sit down and plan. So you have to make the time to sit down and plan. What are some ways you can do that?
Every morning I block out 3 minutes.
Schedule it, put it in your calendar. If there's a regular event that you have that helps you remember this is planning, that's great. You can do it every day. You can do it once a week. And Sunday morning at your time. Everyone should just know what to do. Was kind of that's, oh man, I can't. That is one of those phrases that makes me crazy. They should just know what to do. Go clean your room. Well, what do you want me to clean? Well, you should just know what to do. I don't control my whip. Outside forces like my boss, my wife, keep work on me all the time. My kids do too, really. I mean, stuff happens. So accept it. You can't control it. Sometimes people are going to inject things into and blow your whip limit. If you have a personal whip limit at home of 3, and the plumbing goes haywire, and you have water running into your bathroom, guess what? That's now your new #1 priority. You're just going to have to deal with it. But you should always struggle against letting people inject things into your whip. Control what you can. Ask when the work is truly needed. Delegate when possible. It's interesting, in our team, shared systems, we get a lot of trouble tickets. Requests for new reports, or can you add this user, or hey, this field isn't working for me. We get all this stuff. One of the changes that we made, and probably one of the most valuable changes we made, is we asked the person that handles, we call them the queue lead. When those tickets come into us, they process that ticket first. It used to be their job was to do the ticket. That was when I got to Nelnet a year ago, the queue lead's job was to do all the tickets that came into the queue. Today their job is not that. Today their job is to triage that ticket, prioritize it, and then communicate it to somebody else who can do it. It's a big deal, because just asking, is that work really, do you need it right now, or can it be done next week? It's a huge thing, especially if you've got other projects you're working on. That's how to limit your work. So back to, what are the 2 things, what are the 2 things we're interested in here? What are the 2 things I want you to take away? 1, limit your work in progress. Please take that away from this. I'm assuming you guys have all heard that before, but the focus for our team, the focus on this was really, really important to know that. For me at home, it's been important too. It's helped us to be a little bit more organized in the family. But when I started really saying, okay, this is hard, what we're trying to do, the changes to our queue process, how we process tickets as we come in, to make it so that we don't have one person who's responsible for one system, to make it so we don't have one person who's responsible for all the tickets, to make sure that we're communicating about the tickets. Those changes were hard. For me, just staying focused on, let's just do two things. How do we limit our work in progress? How do we visualize our work? So the visualization for us was taking change gear and creating a view in change gear that showed all of our service requests and all of our incidents in one view. They show prioritized. And so we review that daily in a huddle. I wasn't able to do a Kanban board. It just doesn't work with change gear. Change gear doesn't do Kanban boards. And I wasn't going to manually move. It would be way too much effort to manually move things out of change gear to a Kanban board. So visualize your work. Limit your way. Get the priority basket. You need this right now. Questions? Comments? Yes?
When you make a Kanban board, do you just simply start out with 3 columns to do doing done and then see where it goes from there? Or how do you?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way the book suggests doing it. And so that's what we did. But you can see, the book also suggested leaving some blank columns in there. So this one has a column here for work to be done. It's just a pile of unprioritized work. I have work that's ready, work that I'm doing, and work that's done. And very, very quickly I realized I had work that was blocked. So this column became blocked work. They also, one of the columns they suggested was do today, work I'm going to do today, which was kind of a way of taking ready and prioritizing it into a little bit smaller chunk so that you could focus even more narrowly and then work that you're doing. That's a good question though. And really your value stream is your value stream. So whatever works for you, but I would, yeah, I would definitely, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I sat down and done to do, doing, done, as you write on a whiteboard.
I just have had it all organized and all reorganized and all reorganized and reorganizing. Just get started.
I think what Justin suggested is great for 2 reasons. Not only have you scheduled a time that you're going to plan, but you've also scheduled a duration for doing the planning. So if it's 15 minutes, I mean, that's really, it shouldn't take much more than 15 minutes to update your Kanban board, really. Other questions, comments? Did you guys find this helpful?
Yep.
I just, I knew the knowledge level in this group was going to be quite a bit higher on this than my typical audience, so I wasn't sure. And I'm glad it was helpful.
I think the X is really, especially, I mean, the marbles, passing it around and estimating it, it just really hits home why it's hard for our teams to give a good estimate that lasts at the blink of an eye, right? Like, it just, because I did it, and then it came back around again, and I was like, oh, well, that changes things, right? I mean, the more you know.
Yeah, how many times have we gone to the stakeholders and said, well, they said we can get it done by September 1st, and, well, now it looks like December 1st. Well,
Well, and you can see how ridiculous it is to ask your developers for that estimate. I mean, it's just, to go to your developers and say, tell me how long this is going to take is crazy. Because
You never know how long it's going to take
Right.
once it's done.
I guarantee you, when your developer estimates how long something's going to take, they have not thought about testing. They haven't thought about deployment. They've thought about how long it will take them to write the code. Yeah.
What do you do with the items in the work to be done that never move?
With the, yeah. The doing or the to be done?
To be done.
So the one on the far left side. So first of all,
Like a pile of laundry.
yeah. First of all, if you're doing a retrospective, if you're reviewing that, you're asking yourself, okay, there's this pile of work to be done over here, there's this pile of completed work, hopefully. Am I getting the right work done? So that's first and foremost. And so if there's something in that to be done pile that is important, but it never makes its way across the board, you really ought to ask yourself why. Why are you procrastinating that thing? I'm out of time? I can answer that question. But the second part is then, oh shoot, now I lost it because Teresa distracted me. Yeah, so the first part is make sure you're doing, the second part would be, is it really that important? Is my laundry really that important? In the scheme of things, it's not. Getting my kids to their games and activities, making dinner, that's all more important than my laundry. Until it's not, until I have no underwear left. Hey guys, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Yeah, please do.
Provide feedback if you can, guys.
Will you get the marbles put back in the bags and put the cups together for me, please? Thank you. Yeah, they're getting to get oh, those don't stay on either. But the cups are really good. They're so quiet.
Yeah.
The visualization part more than the whip.
That was fantastic.
Good.
Where should I sit? Where's the best place for this thing? By the
So, thank you.
Check, please.
Thanks.
I'll see you next week. Yep. All right. You did a great job. Thank you. I know it takes a lot to get up here, especially with a bunch of people you don't know.
good. I really enjoyed it. So I'm glad.
Then all of the colors would
Hopefully. Primarily.
This is the second time doing
And I always wanted to make sure that the fire
All right. It's that time again. Pirate joke time. All right, this one's a little long. So listen up. A cruise ship passes by a remote island, and all the passengers see a bearded man with an iPad running around waving his arms wildly. The captain, one passenger asks, "Who is that man over there?" "I have no idea," the captain says, "but he goes nuts every year we pass him." All right, let me do it again. All right, last one. Why couldn't the pirate crew play cards? Why couldn't the pirate crew play cards? Because the captain was standing on the deck. So, the good news is, these guys are way better.
Thank you so much, Chris, for turning the crowd against us.
Everybody ready for the last session? Are you worn out yet?
No! All right.
So we are doing question storming, a collaboration technique for teams. I'm Amy Neff, I'm the manager for the Scrum Masters. I serve them, they don't serve me.
I'm Jason Hitchens, one of the Scrum Masters.
Your mic is not on.
All right. So, many of us are familiar with our lives here in software development, where we receive new projects. We might receive a CR from the FSA. We might get a new tech project internally, or we might get a new product to build for a customer. So, what kind of things do we normally do, asking you guys, when we start a new project? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Panic. Estimate, yep.
Figure out the backlog.
There's backlog, yeah. Prioritize. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of things we normally do. You guys mentioned some of these. There might be a lot of design meetings. We make a fancy burn-up chart, like creating environments, all that stuff. Have some meetings, have some more meetings, do a little praying. This whole phase of a project we generally refer to as brainstorming.
So what is brainstorming? Merriam-Webster kind of defines it in 3 different ways. A dated version of it is a violent transient fit of insanity.
Oh, sorry.
The British version, a temporary state of confusion, a period of unclear thinking. Current version is to try to solve a problem by talking with other people, to discuss a problem and suggest solutions. But what happens when our estimates are way off? We discover surprises, or we aren't all on the same page.
There's an article in Forbes, put the link on the deck if you guys want to read more about it. But as far as tech projects go, it suggests that 25% of them fail outright. 25% don't fulfill their ROI. And 50% require massive rework once they're done. Does that sound familiar? No introduction. Or shut it down. Power's going out. Okay. So the article goes into a little more detail. Surprising to me, only 3% were due to any real technological reason. 54% attributed to poor project management type reasons. So quick exercise, to show a little list. If you've experienced any of these, raise your hand or keep your hand up. So first one, poorly defined or no outcome. Anyone experience that? Lack of leadership, lack of accountability, no plan or timeline, lack of user testing or failure to address feedback, solving the wrong problem. So okay, pretty much all the hands up. If your hands down means you've worked on a project before.
So what is question storming? Kind of going to give you a definition in a nutshell here. To empower a collaborative, creative, and strategic thinking that can lead to breakthroughs and more successful results. So the idea is to generate questions, no ideas or solutions. And then they sometimes call question storming better brainstorming, and there's a reason for that, which you'll find out shortly. So we're going to do a quick example of what a question storming exercise looks like.
Yeah, so this is a picture of me and Amy going to lunch.
Doesn't that look like me?
Hey, you know how long that can take. What do you want to go lunch at? So, some questions. What restaurants are open right now?
What places have we been kicked out of?
What places are least likely to cause us food poisoning?
What places have good or friendly customer service?
How much time do we have?
Do we want to eat inside or do we want to eat outside? Okay, so what's in it for me? Your concerns are heard. That's one of the biggest points here is concerns are heard. With each question asked, you're increasing the likelihood of discovering something important early, which we don't discover in some of those other things that we do. You can be sure that you're going to be working on the right thing at the right time. You can ask questions that will generate effective contingency plans. Speak to me. And everyone has a voice, so everyone gets to ask questions. Everyone participates. So we're going to kind of go over the steps or the stages of question storming, and then we're going to jump into it. So the first stage is clarifying the situation. So this one's pretty important. Everyone needs to be on the same page. Not like the visual here, where everyone has a different idea of what's going on. So this is pretty important that we're all in agreement.
Next step is to define the goals. You have many goals in a project, but to take all those goals and get them into one project. Many of you might be familiar with SMART goals that ask that your goals are specific, measurable, achievable, whatever. Assignable, realistic, results-oriented, and time-bound. But also, really effective goals add a little bit more. They add some passion. A good goal is motivating. It has meaning to everyone that's working on the project. Goals are energizing, and the goals are positive. So, an example from the real world. There's a story about British Airways having a problem losing luggage. This poor guy down in the corner. And they tried to fix it, and they kind of think they had it, then it would get unfixed, and it just kept going back and forth. And they just stuck with this goal. We got to stop losing so much luggage. Eventually someone said, this isn't working, let's get some outside help in. They brought in Diana Whitney, who's an expert in appreciative inquiry. And after some time and discussing what the true roots of the problem and desires were, the new goal that came up was create an exceptional arrival experience for our passengers. So it's a pretty big difference in the two goals. What do you see as some of the differences between these two goals? Yeah, the second one's much more positive. Anything else jump out at you?
It's bigger than just one problem.
Right, it's a all-encompassing goal. Others? One of them focuses on the past, the second one's on the future.
Then we reach out outside of the company for help.
Yeah, certainly. Second goal is more customer focused as well.
How about motivating? Anyone find the second one a little more motivating than the first?
Yeah. So if those were two different companies solving the same problem, which company would you rather work for? Which one would get you excited to come to work? Yeah. So it helps for our goals to motivate us because we're doing the work.
So we're gonna go on to stage 3 here. So the third stage is about assumptions and facts. So it's really important to list facts and assumptions. One of the reasons you want to make sure you're listing the assumptions is so that you can clarify, are these really, what are we assuming about the situation, first of all? Also going over your facts, and sometimes people think that facts are facts when there really truly are assumptions. So just making sure that you're clarifying what is really a fact and what's an assumption.
Yeah, but think about the danger of starting a project with an incorrect assumption. Because you're going to go down the wrong path for quite a while. And the next stage of the question storming process is to actually generate questions. There are a few guidelines to how we would do this. The questions should be first person singular, plural, using things like I and we. The goal of the question storming session is only to generate questions. It's not to answer questions or solutions. So if I were to say, oh, and how would you do that in that session, should be feel inclined to want to answer that question. So the question would be more like, how would we do that? Then the question goes up. Questions that you generate should come from a place of curiosity. We'll give you plenty of time during the session, and it's important to, when it gets quiet and everyone kind of runs out of questions, just stay in the zone and just stay curious, and then more questions will come. Those are usually the better questions. And the questions should be more open-ended, like, how can we, rather than can we? Can we is a yes or no answer. So you want to have a real good open-ended questions. And we certainly want to invite all types of questions. There are no stupid questions or silly questions. And even if you have a question you know it's silly, still say it and throw it up there because it might spark an idea in someone. And as a Scrum Master, I do that a lot, where I don't know all the technical ins and outs of what you guys are doing. But I'll still just throw a question out, even if it makes me sound stupid. Because sometimes someone will go, no, that's dumb, but that reminds me of something that I forgot. So thanks for asking me to take the question.
Always count on you, Jason.
Yes.
So one thing to remember is even though we have these guidelines for questions is don't overthink it. Make sure you're still asking questions and keeping that going so that other people will want to ask questions as well, but just don't overthink it. And remember, ask those dumb questions. So this is the last stage, and we're not going to actually practice this one here because it takes a lot more planning and more time to do that. And it might even be a phased approach even with this last step. So this one is about analyzing those questions that you came up with into actions and results. A big part of this is to make sure that, you know, as you throw those questions up, what do we need immediate answers to? So as you go back and look at the questions, maybe build a backlog of what what do you need to answer? What are the ones that you need to immediately answer? And those are probably the ones that are going to go on your higher up on your list. Because some of those questions might even be ones that you have to have an answer before you can even move on to some of the other things. So just making sure that you're answering those immediate questions and then kind of weeding through the rest, creating